Hello, my name's Adam Rushton and I work at HMP Brixton.
Hi Adam, so the first question is, what was the context for your innovative practice? So what was going on at the time?
Well, firstly we've got an upcoming inspection by the Inspectorate of Prisons, and they're going to have a focus on induction because that's one of the topics that they like to cover for inspections. As a result, the governors were getting interested in induction. I work on the induction wing. They'd laid on a little bit of training for us as induction, and I realised that this is something that I personally was quite interested in because we're a resettlement prison, and a lot of the men that were new coming into the prison were waiting a long time to be placed into purposeful activity, which meant there was more opportunity for them to fall into the wrong kind of activity, and meant that I felt we were not doing enough for rehabilitation in the prison. And so within that context, I thought that I could sort of seize a role for myself in trying to make the induction process reform.
Perfect, thank you. So the second question is, what approach did you take?
Well, first of all, sort of learning about what we were meant to be providing. Very often in prison you don't know what you're meant to be providing because you only know your fundamentals of running a landing. Learning about which departments were involved and then bringing them together and getting people to talk to each other, because prisons employ a vast number of people but very often they don't speak to each other and there's very little coordination between departments. So trying to organise that, interviewing prisoners about their experience of induction, trying to get a sense of where we were going wrong, what would have been better, what they would want to have received, what their objectives are, and also speaking to senior management and seeing what their objectives are, and trying to formulate some kind of response that could satisfy both the service user, the prisoner, and senior management. Yeah.
And what obstacles did you face, and how did you get over those obstacles?
I think mostly just like confusion, because people, again, it's difficult to coordinate different groups of people, get them to turn up. So for instance, on a Monday I put on sessions for RAPT, the people who deal with people coming off drugs, to come and speak to the prisoners, OMU to come speak to prisoners about sentence plans. All these different departments had to come at different points, and just organising that schedule was extremely frustrating because people would turn up at different times and they would come up late, which meant everything was knocked back. And so again, it was a case of just watching it. I think a good thing about being in prison is that you can actually kind of experiment, just put it on, you see it go wrong a bit, you reform, you take it back to the drawing board, and eventually got to a state where the week's induction schedule was planned out in such a way that we could reliably offer that every week, even if I wasn't there. I think that was the other thing as well. You're often cross-deployed and you're not in on that Monday or whatever, which means that you have to make sure that your plans are durable enough to withstand your absence.
Great, and final question, what do you perceive the impact has been?
Well, first and foremost, induction speed, the time it takes for induction to happen has gone way down. At the start I was trying to get data together on how long it was taking to induct people, and they were normally on the wing for 3 or 4 weeks before they were fully inducted. And I sent lots of angry emails about this to various people. They're now often done in 5 days, which is a massive turnaround, because 4 weeks where you've got literally nothing to do is quite a long time to fall in with the wrong crowd and start on the bad path in prison. Whereas 5 days is a sort of reasonable amount of time to wait to be put into work. So I think that's a real success. Little things like making sure people aren't on default menu when they come in. It's a little thing about prison, but when you come in they put you on a default menu which is vegan, because that way you can't offend anyone's cultural sensibilities, because everyone can eat vegan food, but most people don't want to eat vegan food because there's not enough protein in it or whatever. So making sure that people are on that for a minimum amount of time is a small thing that makes a massive difference, and reduces conflict on the wing and reduces black market trading in things like chicken. And obviously, I can't take credit for all this impact. Obviously, bringing all these people together means that it's their success as well. But I think it's had an impact on me personally, sort of seeing the prison wing as a very interesting environment to propose ideas and to sort of, reforming induction wasn't my idea per se, because they wanted to get it sorted out. But there was no one asked me to sort of get involved, and no one asked me to do the interviews, and no one asked me to pick up on these things. So I think the prison is quite good in that if you see something that interests you, you can seize a role for yourself within that. And whilst you haven't reinvented the wheel necessarily. Just small changes that make a system more efficient actually have a big impact on people's lives. And being in a place where you actually can get involved in that is quite empowering, really. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam.